Racial tensions in America are at a boiling point. Right-wing extremist groups are foaming at the mouth. Because their racist messiah was ousted after just one term in office. Who are these people? What makes them tick? What are the personality traits of the right-wing extremist? A video essay from House of Public Discourse founder, Johnny Hill.
You're inside the Progressive Talk Zone with House of Public Discourse founder and host, Johnny Hill.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And let me remind you also that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue.
There are many facets to the personality of a right-wing extremist. There have been many studies conducted on the issue. As a starting point, The Authoritarian Personality, 1950, by Theodor Adorno, explored the connection between personality and fascist orientation. This study identified a personality connection characterized by a dynamic between authoritarian aggression and authoritarian submission. The study also found a common thread of anti-Semitic and anti-liberal sentiments existed in the right-wing extremist. However, much of this early study has given way to more recent research. But the one constant fact remains: most right-wing extremists hold prejudices against minorities and any behavior that does not conform to the perceived values of the group.
It's time for God's people to come out of the closet of America, the so-called Democrats and Republicans. Therefore, under your congressional district presidents, form your battalions, take up the shield of your defense.
In a sense, these attitudes are broad social and political predispositions and feelings towards people who are outside the authoritarian belief patterns. Recent research has focused on exogenous personal dispositions, in order to identify and explain individual differences in political orientations and behaviors. These dispositions or traits are: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, or emotional instability. People who score high on openness are curious, open-minded, creative, and value novel stimuli. The conscientious person loves for there to be an order and obedience to norms and rules. Impulse control and task-orientated goals are paramount. Extroversion implies an outgoing personality and approach to life. Traits such as sociability, assertiveness, and positive emotionality are common in extroversion personalities. People who score high on agreeableness are modest, trusting, altruistic, and tender-minded. Neuroticism describes a pattern of negative emotions that is related to feelings of anxiety, vulnerability, and uneasiness. There has been an ever-increasing bevy of empirical data on these personality traits, which investigates attitudes towards outgroup members, especially immigrants. This new evidence has clearly shown that openness to experience is the most important predictor for differences of prejudice towards these outgroups. This attitude differs from the right-wing authoritarian, who tends to feel they have a social dominance over these so-called outgroups. They tend to have a superior sense of morality, for example. Similarly, agreeableness persons show a high disregard for right-wing authoritarianism and their views of social dominance and negatively reject right-wing extremist orientations. By contrast, conscientious people have shown a severe disdain for minorities and immigrants according to the study. They embrace right-wing authoritarian viewpoints, and many either agree with or find an excuse for right-wing extremist actions. Neuroticism: the neurotic relates solely to right-wing authoritarian views and make up a majority of people who join or participate or sympathize with right-wing extremist groups. The extrovert exhibits no systematic association with out-group derogation or right-wing extremist elements. Based on this research, this writer contends that people who tend to be open-minded to experiences are tolerant to others from perceived out-groups. People from another background are interesting to the open-minded person. Moreover, this open-mindedness fosters an appreciation for their different ideas and opinions. This reality makes them less likely to advocate anti-pluralist political ideologies. For this reason, most open-minded people are demagogued by the right-wing extremist as being such things as socialist, communist, do-gooders, and lastly, liberal swine. In fairness, the open-minded person tends to feel that the right-wing extremists are uneducated derelicts of society. People who score high in agreeableness approach others with trust, and are sociable, and don't tend to get caught up in group boundaries. Moreover, agreeable persons are altruistic and advocate equal rights, and support democratic ideals, rather than laws of the strongest, and go fend for yourself mentalities of the right-wing extremist. However, people high in conscientiousness show deep hate and fear of those in the out-groups. They challenge their established group relations, traditions, and social norms. In addition, their love for order makes them more comfortable with authoritarian political beliefs. With the neurotic, who tend to be emotionally unstable, they feel threatened by those in the out-groups. They show the condition of institutional racism and exhibit superior attitudes towards minorities and immigrants alike. These attitudes serve as compensation for their paranoia and feelings of uncertainty. Therefore, they are attracted to right-wing extremist beliefs. For the extrovert, relationships can be ambiguous. They value self-expression and self-enhancement, which results in a view for the obvious, freedom of expression. However, this sense of freedom, coupled with their dominant focus on their personal advantage, some extroverts draw to the hierarchy-based beliefs of the authoritarian, and can lead them to right-wing extremism.